Thank you for a nice introduction. My name is Katarzyna Klimowicz, and I'm a PhD student at the Faculty of Philosophy and Sociology at the University of Warsaw. And I will present you results of my interdisciplinary research on network parties. But before, since I'm going also to talk about the new paradigm of citizen-centered politics, I would like to invite you for a small thought experiment. So, imagine that different democracy is possible. Imagine a political system in which citizens can experience continuous and unmediated ways of participation, in which public administration facilitates processes of collective decision-making, and a system in which digital tools are used to empower citizens. They are used to design new models of collaborative, horizontal governance models in which citizens are take the role of co-producers and co-creators of governance. They're treated as equal partners for public administration. Imagine a system that is based on this community approach, based on such democratic values as social justice, inclusion, a system with high norms of transparency, with high standards of accountability, in which citizens can experience being involved in public deliberation, in which democratic innovations are used to create and protect the common good, and to create decentralized networks of power relations, in which citizens, through political participation, are involved in a continuous process of civic education, and they're directly involved in defining their own needs and finding solutions to social problems. Sounds unrealistic, utopian. Well, this is a new paradigm that is promoted by a growing number of political theories, researchers, practitioners, and activists. That's a new paradigm of citizen-centered politics, democracy of citizens, by citizens, and for citizens, as Manuel Castells once already envisioned it. It's a paradigm in which citizen participation is not considered to be a problematic issue or a completely utopian project. It's actually considered to be the core of a legitimately called democratic system, and as it's a value in itself. So this new paradigm is promoted and what is more important, practiced by new progressive political movements that are mushrooming in Europe and worldwide. These new political movements are organized in networks, and they show that practicing citizen-centered politics can be a real political strategy functioning in real-world settings. I don't have so much time to get into details about the general context of why these political movements are emerging right now, but I thought that maybe these few pictures can visualize in a simple way why these new models of governance and why alternative ideas of doing and understanding politics is so eagerly sought and desired nowadays. So the deep crisis of representative democracy, continuous economical crisis, growing inequalities led to the outburst of civil society's outrage and mass street protests such as 15M movement and Occupy Wall Street. So these kind of protests and new movements activated a big number of motivated activists in different countries in Europe and in other continents, which deal with the same problems. And these new political movements are a response to the simultaneous political, economical, social, ecological crisis that we're facing for so many years now. So these are movements such as Barcelona en Comú and Podemos in Spain, Razem Party in Poland, Movimento Cinque Stelle in Italy, as well as an international network of pirate parties, which got considerable popularity in Germany and especially in Iceland. So their main aim is to change these old models of thinking about politics, change the status quo. They're tech-savvy leaders and members, deriving from grassroots civic and protest movements, organize their management systems online and create horizontal network structures based on meetups and local circles. They also use democratic innovations to make our to make the model of democracy more inclusive. So what is the most characteristic for these new movements is the use of digital tools which support their external and internal communication, collective decision-making, and transparency. So the basic idea is to make the idea of digital democracy real, to practice participatory decision-making with the use of collective intelligence of members of the party, but also ordinary citizens. So the activity of these new parties proved that nowadays, more than ever before, there is this deep need for changing our models of governance into shared and network models of governance. And they also show that internet activism is not only slacktivism, but it can be reflected in real civic initiatives and real political commitment. But how does it work in practice? How do these new political movements try to turn democratic ideals into practice? And how digital tools help them, how digital tools facilitate citizen participation and creating these new models of co-governance. Let's see how political leaders and members of these parties use online platforms and various applications in their everyday work. So one of such tools is the City in Barcelona platform, which was launched by the local government of Barcelona, led by the Barcelona en Comú citizen platform. Its main aim is to use the community's collective intelligence for and it enables also public deliberation and crowdsourced decision-making. It was used during the largest participatory process in Barcelona. The aim of this process was to establish the main priorities for citizens and give them the space to find solutions for the most pressing problems, urban problems, and problems in areas such as quality of life, pluralist economy, good administration, ecology, and global justice. And during this process, which lasted for 2 years, almost 2 years, between 2015 and 2016, over 42,000 participants were involved. Over 10,000 proposals have been made. Over 165,000 votes have been given with over 18,000 comments. So it was a hybrid of digital and analog participatory process. This platform was facilitating collecting all the ideas. Another initiative that is an example how digital tools can be used to enhance citizen participation and strengthen government transparency and accountability is a public anti-corruption complaint box, which was introduced by XNet, social activist group collaborating with the local government of Barcelona. It's based on decentralized free software called Tor, and it has a form of a global leaks repository that guarantees the anonymity of citizens who can deliver the cases of local corruption in an anonymous way. Then another example of a party that is using digital tools in a very effective way is Podemos. They also developed a whole system of open source software and various applications, such as Participa platform, Reddit, adapted by Podemos under the name Plaza Podemos, Upgree, Agora Voting, Lumio, and TitanPad. These are all the tools that facilitate collecting and discussing citizen proposals, collaborative decision-making, and organizing crowdfunding actions. And also because corruption-free politics and transparency is an important issue for Podemos, all their accounts and balances are published online. Also, leaders and members of Razem Party use various digital tools to support their internal horizontal communication, to exchange information, manage projects. They also elaborated their own voting system online and deliberation. They use such tools as Slack. They have their own internet forum with a huge party wiki. It's like internal Wikipedia with all the documents and archives of the party. Then there is a TitanPad that also facilitates this collaborative work. They're also very visible on social media. The members of the Razem Party also created their online newspaper and a series of infographic and memes that explain to citizens complex political issues and help them to get involved in public debates. Then an example from Italy, platform significantly called Rousseau. It also supports the network structures and collective decision-making of the members of this party. And with over 100,000 of registered users since the launch of the platform, it's been considered to be the biggest community experimenting with digital forms of participation. So it gives the possibility to make legislative proposals on various levels, voting on representatives in elections, consulting the draft bills with already elected parliamentarians. But there is, sounds great, but there is a big problem with this platform because its code was not released to public. It's still like it's kind of mystery how actually this platform works. That's why it raises a lot of questions and also accusations of top-down management. We can talk about it later. And then more genuine form of e-participation and the Pirate Party liquid feedback system. That was the main idea of the designers, creators of these systems was based on the importance of transparency of decision making and the accountability of delegates. So everything, all the decisions on this platform and also discussions were completely public. So the proxy voting system of this platform enables to put proposals to voting and discuss them in a deliberative and public way. That's also the largest online community implementing the idea of delegative democracy. Yeah. So there is also a similar platform established by Icelandic pirates called Ex-Piratar. Well, I won't repeat myself because it has similar functions. And now coming to conclusions and the biggest risks and challenges connected to the use of digital tools by these parties, because they seem to be very helpful, but when we take more critical perspective, there are still a lot of issues, unsolved issues connected to transparency, security, and privacy. So we cannot exclude, for example, the hacking attacks on these platforms or the abuses of connected to data protection. Also, especially this software that is not open can be accused of different forms of manipulation and the concentration of power. In the times, especially, it's a very important issue, especially in the times of state-sponsored trolling. So the discussions online can be also influenced by fake news and disinformation campaigns. There are a lot of cases of involving citizens in participatory process that are not binding, so it's a kind of pseudo-participation. That's another problem. Also, not all citizens are prepared for active participation and this kind of digital experiments. So there's still the problem of digital divide. And a big group of problems connected to far-right parties that are also trying to use the idea of direct democracy, getting involved in campaigns, referendum campaigns, and using the idea of direct democracy, but for different reasons, and having different aims other than empowering citizens. Okay, well, I don't have so much time to discuss all the challenges, but maybe it will just come up with the questions. And just some words of what can be done about it. Well, because of the collaborative approach of these new network parties, there is already a network of transnational progressive movements that met in June in Barcelona. So this meeting showed that that exchange of ideas and exchange of democratic innovations is important, and we need to keep this enthusiastic approach that there are thousands of alternatives, and only in a network, united network of progressive movements, we can make a change. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.